Hello, this is Kinninigan from RagingReptilian.com. We have one heck of a video today. I am basically going to prove Mudfossil University, who I follow on YouTube. I don't really know Roger in real life. I've started covering mud fossils myself, but what I do is cover the actual mythology behind these mud fossils. Very few people can do what I do when it comes to ancient Sumeria and Babylon, which is I want to remind people too that if anyone can help us out with donations or through Patreon, I think it's videos like this where I'm worth every penny that's donated to me, because I do a great deal of research into these subjects. And basically, Mudfossil University put out this idea that there was a huge dragon in Morocco that basically became the Atlas Mountains. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, the occult symbolism behind here too, which is another thing that I excel at. I know how to read through the mythology and the symbolism, and when I show you the information that I'm about to show you and basically prove that his dragon is real as per Sumerian texts, this is actually going to add more legitimacy to mud fossils. Now, real quickly, because I'm going to be going through this information quite quickly. It's what I do. I do all this research in the morning and I put it together so I can tell you the story without wasting people's time. I go through information very quickly. This is not going to be an hour-long video. It doesn't need to be. There was only a few stumbling blocks that I came through and I was able to figure out, and that was the units of measure in Sumerian mythology, because they're kind of shrouded in mystery themselves. Their units of measure are very different from the way that we have kilometers or miles. The capsu, for example, is a length that it isn't a specific length. It's a distance that's covered in the amount of time of walking. So, with that in mind, I'm going to give you the specs for the dragon as per, human size. But if there were giants back in the day, and the giants were using the caspu as a length of measurement, the caspu that a giant would walk in 2 hours time would be more than a regular sized human. It'll make sense when I go through this and show you the units of measure as per the Sumerian tablets. Now, real quickly too, on my desktop, because the book is actually going to be heavily revolving around Sumerian mythology, but I put a video up last night that I plan to start on writing a book. Here is the software. I downloaded and installed last night, which I like. It's called Write It Now. I'll make another video going into details about my book shortly, but I basically have enough reptilian material to probably write a few books, so it's something I should have done a while ago. Now this is Mudfossil University right here. I highly suggest that you go to his YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with the Moroccan dragon, it's basically this: the whole entire Atlas Mountains in Morocco, and down here this is a giant fish. And this giant fish is actually even spoken of in the tablet we're going to refer to as a raging creature of the river. What else is mentioned in this tablet is how this fish and dragon were destroyed, which is basically, it would have been a flood. They refer to it as storm and tempest in the Sumerian tablet, which would have been more or less a flood. Now, so if you're not familiar with the Moroccan dragon from Mudfossil University, I highly suggest you go to the channel and familiarize yourself with it first. I am not going to go over Roger's research on mud fossils or the legitimacy of the mud fossil. He covers that, and he's done quite a few videos on this dragon in Morocco. The only thing I'm doing in this video, I'm going to prove what he's saying is 100% correct as per Sumerian mythology. There were two dragons that I had to decide which dragon this was. There's a dragon called Kur, K-U-R, who Kur, mysteriously enough, is also referred to loosely as a mountain. He laid down and became a mountain when he died. The other dragon, which this one is Tiamat. Tiamat, and there's also some very occultic things going on with the word Morocco, Atlas Mountains, and all that. So this was the precursor to this video I'm doing, the Sumerian dragon myth of creation. This is Tiamat right here. Yes, there were dragons in Sumeria. There were quite a few of them, and these dragons were huge. This comes from a addendum tablet of the Sumerian myth of creation. This is the tablet I read. What I'm going to do at the end of the lecture, because this video only runs about 2 minutes, is after I'm done with this lecture, I'm going to embed this video right into the end of this, so you can actually hear me read this, and hopefully what I read in the tablet makes more sense after I go through the mythology here. Now here is who was the dragon. I'm going to go through this tablet, and we're just going to look at the pertinent sentences here. Tiamat was the dragon. Now here's where things basically prove that what Roger is saying is correct. 50 kaspu in his length, 1 kaspu his height. Now how big is a kaspu? Well, we have footnotes down here. The kaspu is the space that can be covered in 2 hours traveling, about 6 or 7 miles. These general dimensions of the size of the dragon are in accordance with the statement made in, well, that was the line up there I just read. The only one that's shrouded in a little bit of controversy is the cubit, specifically the Babylonian cubit, which is a smaller length than the kaspu. So with that in mind, 1 kaspu. We're going to go here. A kaspu is roughly 10.8 kilometers, and that would be towards what a human average size, I'm 5'10", would cover in 2 hours distance walking. That is the length of a kaspu. If it was a giant, the kaspu would actually be bigger. .8 kilometers roughly equates out to 6.7 miles, or as per the Sumerian tablet, 50 kaspu, basically, roughly doing rough math, 6 times 7 is 35, or 350 miles is his length. 1 kaspu his height. That means the thickness of this dragon was 7 miles. So, does that fit in with the Moroccan dragon? Let's take a look at Google Earth here. We're going to do a measurement. This is Morocco right here. You see the Atlas Mountains. Let me get this out of the way. Morocco. And we're going to talk about Morocco in a second. And what? Now, I'm going to roughly... Alright. This measurement I'm doing right here through the mountains where this dragon and the fish are. Just going through the length of the Atlas Mountains here in Morocco, we have a distance of 507 miles roughly. If this dragon is correct, as per the Sumerian mythology, the dragon roughly is about 300 to 500 miles across. The kaspu is not an exact length. It's speculative. Like I said, it's not like the mile or the kilometer that we have. However, 7 miles, 6 or 7 miles going up for the mountain range is pretty believable, because that's about what a mountain would be. The most important thing in this tablet too is the cubits. I'm not too worried about. They're smaller measurements, 6 cubits in his mouth. And then obviously they slayed the dragon. Who will go and slay the dragon? Go tissue, slay the dragon. Thou hast sent me, O Lord, to the raging creatures of the river. This would be the fish that Roger found in that video that the dragon seems to be eating or attacking. Like I said, you can refer to Roger's work when it comes to the dragon and the fish as per the Mudfossils. I'm basically trying to show you that this is actually written in Sumerian mythology. This is how the dragon was destroyed. Stir up cloud and storm and tempest. That would have been more or less a flood. And then the dragon dies. For 3 years and 3 months, 1 day and 1 night, the blood of the dragon flowed. Now Roger had stated in the video that he thought a lot of this coloration coming from the dragon was either venom, but I believe it's the blood they're talking about here. And for 3 years, for something to bleed out, it's got to be pretty big. roughly try about 400 miles long. And that is the length as per the Caspu, as I just showed you. Now, there are a few dragons in Sumerian mythology, and how do I know this is Tiamat? Well, basically, this cuneiform tablet, when you read through the lines and decipher it correctly, tells you the story. But there is another dragon. The other dragon is Ker. Now, Ker is somewhere around. He became one of the mountain ranges around there, but this isn't Ker. But what I want to show you strangely about the word Ker, the Sumerian word for Ker, that is one of its primary meanings, is mountain. Yes. Not only was Ker a dragon, but it's a rough metaphor for mountain. So if a dragon died and lay down, he would become a mountain. I made some earlier Mudfossil videos about when the gods became mountains from Native American mythology, about giants actually dying and becoming mountain ranges. This goes right in with Mudfossils. So this is the myths of Ker, and I realized that this wasn't the dragon being spoken of in Morocco. Ker is a different dragon. But it's pretty interesting that Ker is referred to as a mountain. Let's talk about some occultic things with the word Morocco right here, because then it's going to start to make a lot more sense in the occultic mythology and Freemason cover-up of this, of all things. Not specifically the Freemason, but the powers that be, Illuminati, whoever is hiding up our real world history and hiding these Sumerian mythologies from us. First of all, what does Morocco mean? Morocco is a fine leather from goat skin tanned with sumac. Very occultic Luciferian reference there, goat skin. Also, you'll notice about the word Morocco, we have CC in here. C is the third letter of the alphabet, so basically we have 33 in here, just like Christopher Columbus when he discovered America. Yeah. Whenever you see double C's in a word, it's usually a reference to right to the Illuminati or 33rd degree of Freemasonry. So Morocco itself actually means goat skin, and we have the CC in here, or 33. Another interesting thing I want to show you here. You'll notice this is the Atlas Mountains. I made a video on Tartarus and the fallen angels, or the Nephilim, or the Titans. The Titans are the fallen angels. One of those Titans is Atlas, who carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. So we have the mountain range itself is actually named after a Titan or fallen angel. Now, this is the fish here, and this is what I refer to as the raging creature of the river. Now, if this was fossilized, it would have made sense. This is sitting right on the ocean of Morocco. Here, let me go on Google Earth, actually. Obviously, right on the ocean of Morocco. Here's a straight up Gibraltar right here. The length actually fits pretty good. We're getting the length of the Caspu of the dragon would actually fit right in with this mountain range. Obviously, a storm and tempest, they're talking about a flood, which is how Roger believes these mud fossils were fossilized, that basically flooding over the coast, which is actually, and because this is right on the coastline, would actually make sense that the oceans came over, fossilized this dragon, the waters receded, and we were left with the mud fossils afterwards. There are quite a few mountain ranges on this planet that are actually dead giants or mud fossils, and I'm going to be doing a lot of mythology on most of these, including finding the other one, Ker, the other dragon who became a mountain. We'll find him. But this one I know is Tiamat. So, with that in mind, I pulled up some pics here. Just trying to... Yeah, I think we're going to get better pictures on Google Earth anyway about this, but I know I had a bunch of... I'm going to put all these links in the description, don't worry. So anyway, again, with the length of the Caspu, basically proved that that's the entire Atlas mountain range right there. So roughly, I just wanted to again go over that I can prove the length of this dragon is the Atlas Mountains as per the length of the Caspu in the Sumerian tablets. Again, 50 Caspu in his length, 1 Caspu is height. 1 Caspu is roughly about 7 miles. 5 times 7 is 35 roughly, or 350 miles. And this is a rough estimate. And when I do a measurement of the Atlas Mountains here, we're getting right in the exact length of the Caspu, which basically verifies Tiamat is real. And he was probably about 300 to 400 miles long, 6 to 7 miles wide. That's a big dragon. You want to know what? The theory is roughly, if anyone's been following my work, I did one video already about the legend of Maldek. The theory is on Maldek was a much bigger planet and we had much bigger animals. This is why the plants were bigger. This is why the humans were bigger. But I don't believe this dragon was fossilized in the initial destruction of Atlantis when they hurled the ice comet Venus at Earth and created the asteroid belt, which is the firmament. That's even, I can prove that in Sumerian tablets too. I'll be reading the 7 tablets of creation, which was the source for the book of Genesis in the Bible. You want to know why they cover this stuff up? Our planet was much bigger at one time and we had much larger animals. And to no surprise too, if you think that, for example, a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of mythology around mountains and different geological formations around the earth, possibly being ancient animals or giants themselves. And the only thing I'm trying to do in this video is show you the Sumerian mythology that basically backs up his theory of the Moroccan dragon. And I even said there's a lot of occultic things with the word Morocco itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the description. I went to Roger's channel and I just put dragon in the search engine. And all the videos that he made about the dragons from Morocco are here. So he'll actually point out the specifics of what you're looking at and the anatomy of the dragon and how they became geological formations. So he's done quite a few videos here over the years. And as I said, I could pretty much prove that that is Tiamat. He's been trying to, there's nothing bad about this, but he's been trying to correlate a lot of this dragon mythology with the Bible, the book of Revelations. And I tell people, you need to understand that a lot of the Old Testament is taken right from Sumerian mythology. And they cut and paste out what they wanted and what they didn't want to put in there. But yes, there were dragons in Sumeria. A lot of people think dragon mythology started in China, of all places. No, 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 no. As I showed you here, we have Kerr is another dragon. We're going to find Kerr. Maybe Roger can help me out with this. Maybe he's found other dragons, or but there is another dragon that we're looking for named Kerr, and he became a mountain also. It's not the same dragon, though. But we have multiple Sumerian mythologies about dragon. This is the slaying of the goddess Tiamat and her host of dragons, and that is the dragon that is in Morocco. A lot of the Sumerian mythology you need to read between the lines because it's been covered up and they don't want to admit it. For example, mainstream will never admit that the book of Genesis was taken from the 7 tablets of creation from Sumerian mythology, which is actually where I get this addendum from, for the 7. This is an addendum from the 7 tablets of creation. You see that right up here? Another version of the dragon myth. I also read the Sumerian dragon myth of creation by Marduk. That's another addendum, and that myth was basically Marduk coming down, creating the Anunnaki, and setting up Babylon, and creating the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. So, the mythology's there. And figuring out the exact length of the Caspu basically verifies the length of the dragon he found there in Morocco. So all these links will be in the description. If you're not familiar and you want to get better pictures of the actual dragon, I suggest you come to Mudfossil University. I'm not really going to go over that. He does a much better job at explaining the anatomy and everything that you're looking at. I'm only trying to back up what he's saying with real mythology. So anyway, all these links will be in the description. And what I'm going to do now, like I said, is embed this 2-minute video at the end of this so you can hear it again. The one I read, the Sumerian Dragon Myth of Creation. And now maybe when you listen to this now, you'll understand that they are basically talking about how that dragon in Morocco, Tiamat. And the most telling thing too is at the end of that tablet, stating that the blood of the dragon flowed for 3 years, 3 months. And like I said, that's 33 right there. We have 33 in Morocco right here, CC. The symbolism's there, the mythology's there. The only thing you need to do is, I guess, open up your mind. But there's an old saying, and I might sound a little snarky saying this to people, but hey, the truth does not require your approval. And I know that Mudfossil University's been doing a heck of a job trying to prove this stuff. A lot of people have thought maybe he's crazy. You know, how could there be a 400-mile long dragon in Morocco that became the Atlas Mountains? Well, if you read the Sumerian tablets, they basically back it up. And it gets even more strange when I get into Sumerian creation mythology, because there's more telling things in these 7 tablets of creation that basically prove that they are the basis of our modern Bible. But it should have nothing to do with your relationship with God or your spirituality. So don't let that get in the way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the lecture. If anyone's interested in looking at this on Google Earth after you go to Roger's video and you become familiarized with what you're looking at here, very easy. Just type Morocco into the search here on Google Earth, and you can come down and look at these mountain ranges. But basically what you're looking at all through here is part of the dragon. So Roger does a much better job at explaining what you're looking at in the mud fossils there. But the length is correct for the Caspu. And yes, there was a huge dragon called Tiamat. I'm sure there were quite a few dragons. This is just only the mythology around one of them. Now, there has been a, I believe, another dragon found in the Altiri Mountains, and I'm wondering if I need to start looking into that. That may be the dragon Kerr, the other dragon I was talking about. We'll find out. Definitely a lot of research to do with this stuff. Because obviously what I'm doing here is correlating these with real Sumerian mythology right from the cuneiform tablets themselves. So this is not conjecture, this is not made up. I just showed you what the Caspu is, what they state in the tablet. And you can't knock it off very easy, because remember, all of our modern, everything from algebra and mathematics, the building of the Sumerian cities, these were highly intelligent, highly advanced people. There's no way that they would just make up this mythology about Tiamat and there's no real truth behind it. Like I said, there's been a lot of mystery shrouded in Sumeria and Babylon, especially dealing with the Anunnaki. But yes, at one time there were dragons. And this dragon is described as being more of a long snake, as I showed you the thumbnail on this video. This is more or less what Tiamat would have looked like. And if you just use a little bit of creative imagination here, imagine this thing laying down, 6-7 miles thick, 400 miles wide, could easily become a mountain range. And Roger will show you all that anatomy in his mud fossil videos, basically proving that. And the big fish too that he found in that is also in that tablet. Only referred to as a raging creature of the river. Raging creatures, yeah, and raging reptilians. Who would have thought, huh? So anyway, that's going to be all for this video. I'm going to let the Sumerian Dragon Myth of Creation video play now at the end of this. If there's any questions or comments, leave them below. And until we speak again, this is Kinninigan, and take care. The Sumerian Dragon Myth of Creation. The cities sighed. Men uttered lamentation. For their lamentations there was none to help. For their grief there was none to take them by the hand. Who was the dragon? Tiamat was the dragon. Bel in heaven hath formed. 50 caspu in his length, 1 caspu his height, 6 cubits in his mouth, 12 cubits in the circuit of his ears. For the space of 60 cubits he was a bird. In water 9 cubits deep he draggeth. He raises his tail on high, all the gods of heaven. In heaven the gods bowed themselves down before the moon god. The border of the moon god's robe they hastily grasp. Who will go and slay the dragon, and deliver the broad land from him, and become king? Go, Tissue, slay the dragon, and deliver the broad land from him, and become king over us. Thou hast sent me, O Lord, to the raging creatures of the river, but I know not of the dragon. He opened his mouth and spoke unto God. Stir up cloud and storm and tempest. The seal of thy life shalt thou set before thy face. Thou shalt grasp it, and thou shalt slay the dragon. He stirred up cloud and storm and tempest. He set the seal of life before his face. He grasped it, and he slew the dragon. For 3 years and 3 months, and 1 day and 1 night, the blood of the dragon flowed.